Hi there, my name is Emel Bonte, and I am the lead developer of our first game, Castleguard XX, Sage Knight and the Rise of the Seventh Kingdom. This labor of love sprang from an idea I had about a simple base defender that became the final of my C+ programming class. Seeing potential, we began to expand upon the idea and liked the results. With the general concept figured out, I pitched a new idea to my partner, who was enthusiastically on board, and a few years later, around early January 2020, we decided to go for it. We created a YouTube channel to document our progress and put together a small team of Reddit's I Need a Team, or INAT for short. And we spent 20 months, about a year and a half, developing the game in our spare time. We worked at producing our unique visual style of combining the quirky cartoonish world of Calvin and Hobbes by Bill Watterson and the action detail art style found in Capcom games. We also managed to put together a thorough game design document breaking down the game's mechanics and story. And with that said, I am honored to talk about our game. At its heart, Castleguard is a base defense game, with several casual game mechanics fused on to give a fuller, richer, and more unique experience. Players are challenged by being asked to do more to protect their base than in other games. The base in our game is represented by the titular character, Sage Knight, who due to being incapacitated is under the protection of his two guardians. This brings us to our first mechanic, the Kingdom Builder. Citizens from other towns and cities who have always looked up to their hero rush to Sage's aid and transform his small area of land into a town hall. This section of the game allows players to build roads and place buildings, barracks, and businesses, and gain bonuses when these structures are built adjacent to beneficial environments. As the area expands, players are free to design the area as they please, building whole neighborhoods to satisfy citizens' randomly shifting motivations. It is here where players can check the status, customize, and maintain their citizens. With the introduction of citizens, we must also introduce their upkeep, which is the costs of maintenance and care. Balancing their needs is the only way to keep citizens from leaving. Players must monitor their happiness, security, and prosperity, and give them skills and jobs to make the most of their stats and build fulfillment. Upkeep also includes building homes, places to train, stores, and shops. Once players have settled on a design, they must defend what they built in their next mechanic, Castleguard, the Wall. The area must be surrounded by a wall and have gates to the north, east, south, and west. Defenders then exit from the gates and rush towards the incoming threat. Battles are fought via a linear, turn-based system inspired by the Grandia 3 combat engine. It's here you get to make the most of the spells you build from scratch using our unique spell builder system. Equipment maintenance is equally made interesting with our upgradable weapons and armor customization system. Players must send out squads to defend the wall from being breached by waves of mysterious enemies. Enemies come seemingly at random, but soon exhibit patterns that leave clue items that warn the player of upcoming boss battles that players can prepare for. Towers and traps may also be built as chapters progress and battles get increasingly more difficult and complex. If a wave of enemy gets past your defenders, they will breach your wall, damaging buildings and hurting citizens, making rebuilding tactically necessary. Enemies must be defeated before players can assess the damage and make repairs. Repairs require resources and people. In order to gain more of both, players must use our final two mechanics, which are both RPG-infused beat-em-up brawlers with a twist. To gather resources, players must build caravans of workers and defenders to send off to specific areas. This is done via the world menu we call Map Quests. Players spend time, via hours and minutes, as a resource and send their caravans to one of two different area types, resource lands or quest destinations. While in the resource lands, workers work in the background. Their actions are represented by a 3-reel slot. If they are successful in aligning resource slots, it's represented as a win and will acquire the resources accordingly. Enemies are also represented on the reels. When enemies spawn, it will activate our resource brawler, and your defenders will be forced to fend them off while your workers continue their gathering. In this game mode, you wager with your defender's HP, so as long as they are not incapacitated, players can spin the reels as much as it takes to fill their caravans. If defeated, their workers must make a hasty retreat and carry the defenders away, leaving a sizable portion of their rewards behind as a penalty. While in the quest destinations, the player can gain citizens and progress the story. To do this, the player must use our other mechanic called the Quest Brawler. This mechanic is a traditional beat-em-up, except fighters can go multiple directions on the map and backtrack to areas where they receive or can complete their quests. These quests build up a good reputation and can allow you to ally with other kingdoms, opening cultures that introduce distinct species of creatures, spells, armor, weapons, technology, and skills. The more quests you do, the more the people you help will favor you, and with a high enough reputation, the citizens of other areas will give everything up and move to your kingdom to help. Both brawlers are inspired by games like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, The Game, Odin Sphere, and Dragon Crown Pro. Now let's talk about the story. Our company's motto is familiar yet different, and we really want to express that philosophy here. This story began with the premise about a wizard who believed that he was a knight, and ends with this game. That's why it's called Castleguard XX, because we have no idea how many games it would be in this particular series, so we decided to pull a Mega Man and borrow their XX date stick. This allows us to build unique and iconic characters with the depth of adventures previously had. This forces us to build an interesting and unique world with bizarre environments and exploring the limits of the RPG genre. This lastly sets up possibility for major franchising if successful. The premise comes from my love of rogue galleries. Scores of villains that put aside their crazy to team up and cause epic trouble and terrify our heroes. And I wanted the game to be packed with weird and interesting baddies that Sage has varying relationships with. This culminates in Sage being attacked by his rogues gallery, badly wounding him and causing him to lose some of his memories. He is rescued by his love interest Cersei, a sorceress and former villain who sends two protectors to look out for him. His protectors soon discover that they are way in over their heads as something far darker is manipulating things in secret and is threatening to destroy the entire continent of Baronay. So as you can see, a lot of work and care have gone into this, and after 2 years of development, we feel we are more than ready to make this project a reality. Thank you so much for listening and for this opportunity. Take care.